Hi Richard, lovely to meet up with you and start to do some work on your game. As promised, quick recap of the key points that we discussed during your session. In regards to your pitching at the start of the session, it was a little bit sort of traditional in the sense that the ball was back, the handle was forward, you're exposing the leading edge of the club into the ground, etc. Ideally situated for hitting a low running shot, ball back, weight forward, and then a long arc on the way through. We discussed the effects of that and the direction of the swing and how it affected the low point, and advised you that whilst that was alright for running the ball up the green, if you wanted to play a little bit more of a finesse shot, lob the ball over a bunker, etc., we want to square the stance up, we want to move the ball forward, have the shaft sitting more vertically like we see on the bottom left hand side of the screen. And then the feeling then was that we wanted to soften the arms on the way through and create a shorter arc, almost like a little cut swing. That would allow us to control the low point, keep the loft on the golf club, and use the bounce of the club rather than the leading edge. So, you've got a long arc, top left, ideal for low running shots, and a short arc, bottom left, ideal for more finesse shots around the greens, where you want to use the loft and the bounce of the club to accommodate the lie that you've got. So, food for thought in your pitching. It's not always ball back, handle forward. But you need to move the ball around to suit the type of shot that you want to play, and then the arc on the through swing needs to match up with what's going on. So if it's low and running, the long arc will work. If it's a high soft one that you want to play, you need to consider making the shorter arc on the through swing. In regards to the full swing, what we talked about was this first move away from the golf ball and the effect it had on the rest of your swing. You loaded the back of the left hand too much too soon. That pushed the club in behind you on the plane, got you very flat at the top, and as a result meant you attack the club, or attack the ball with the club moving very much from the inside, directing the swing out to the right too much. And that would produce control of the low point issues. So you'd hit the ground behind the ball, thin the ball on occasion, and it would make the types of draw shot that you hit quite substantial. So what we were working on was trying to feel that there was zero rotation of the back of the left hand from setup to waist level, so that when you do that, and this is you doing the drill, and one of the things you've got to watch when you're doing the drill is that the hands don't start to drift out, which is what was happening here. But the position of the club in relation to the plane line is completely the opposite scenario of what we see here. So there's no rotation of the club face. The back of the left hand is still pointing down to the ground as opposed to out in front of us, and that in turn has affected the pitch of the shoulders and what the lower body is doing also. So that's the feeling. And after about an hour of doing that, what we ended up with was this, which is a sort of diluted version of the original swing. So it's a more lined up version. So we've got less rotation of the back of the left hand, club attacking the ball less underplane. We play this through. So we're less under the plane with the sweet spot. Just going to match these up now. And as a result, we're attacking the ball less from the inside with a slightly more descending blow. And instead of throwing the club and hitting out excessively, like we see here with a club above the plane line, we're now exiting with a club that's a little bit lower down. So rather than hitting out excessively, we're just hitting out in a more appropriate manner, and that's been brought about by tidying up what goes on from setup to waist level. So the original swing is what we see here, top centre, club going behind us the most. The feel to combat that is what we see here on the top right, where the club doesn't go behind us and there's no rotation at the back of the left hand, and then that will allow us to achieve that sort of balance between the two, which, at the end of the day, Richard, if you just make it a more functional golf swing, it'll be easier to control out on the golf course. So this guy here in the middle is much more consistent than this guy here on the top row. So we just need more of what we see here on the top right. Keep working that sort of move from setup to waist level, where we feel like there's zero rotation of the back of the left hand. When you're doing that, just make sure that the hands continue to trace an inward path as opposed to creeping out in front of you. Good luck with it. If you have any questions, feel free to fire me an email, and I look forward to working with you again in the coming weeks.